This is a guide for art therapists or people doing art classes with children or others who are coming from a traumatic situation, for example, refugees from a war. And when we talk to schools who have trained art therapists, we want to see if they align with these values. We want to partner with schools and individuals who are like-minded. So the next few slides are for the art therapists. This is not for clients. You don't share this with clients. And it's under this topic called level theory, and it's only for students who are approved. And so at level 1, we are wanting to get proof of worth in order to feel self-love. So we're doing an activity or having a mindset in order to figure out how to get self-love. Now, often what that means is the negative free child, the part of us that wants to rebel or conquer, is afraid of being attacked or criticized or rejected by an internal parent. That is to say, if you have an internalized negative controlling parent or negative nurturing parent, instead of an ideal parental figure or some kind of positive parent. So it's this kind of give and take or back and forth or tug of war where there's one part that's trying to be bold, one part that's trying to, the negative adaptive child is counteracting that negative free child that wants to be bold by being timid, restricting, fear and criticism, wanting to obey and conform. And so that's where we are when we're at level 1. And most of the time, most people, that's where they're operating, even if it's subconscious. So then at level 2, you have the proof of worth. But it's conditional self-love, right? So then you need to maintain the control. But this can go, as you go higher in the pyramid, it's less and less of a situation where you need to control a situation. So the ideal, or the most common, not the ideal, but the most common would be lying in bed before the alarm goes off and you're only vaguely aware that you have to go to school or to work. Anyway, at level 3, you don't require proof of love. You don't require proof of worth to feel self-love. You might notice that you don't have proof of worth and the part of the mind wants it, or you might notice that your mind says you do have it, but you're just not you're not bothered either way. It's not really an issue. You feel self-love and you don't need to prove worthy. So at any given moment, most people on earth are at level 1, trying to make something happen or prevent something from happening. And level 2, they're satisfied with what happened. And then very few people are at level 3 at any given time. So we're talking about the perspective, the point of view. So we're talking about perspective, point of view. This little story called Barry the Bird, who isn't sure if she is or is not in the right place, in a cage. But if Barry's dissatisfied, then Barry would claim she'd be better off out of the cage. So she dreams about it, and she concludes that she'd be better off free. But then she has to investigate. Maybe she would not be better off, as animals could eat her. So it's unclear to Barry whether the cage is a home or a prison, right? That's the perspective, the point of view, how we evaluate our surrounding, our circumstances. So at level 1, the thoughts claim you deserve punishment, a lack, a deprivation, or that there's some way that you can fix or escape that. Again, the thoughts that claim you deserve punishment, lack, or deprivation, or that are critical, that's a negative controlling parent, negative nurturing parent. The idea that something you can fix or escape, it's mostly negative free child, but the negative adaptive child might say you can fix this by submitting to authority. At level 2, you've succeeded in escaping or fixing, and then you might want some credit and gratitude. And then level 3, you're looking at the situation. Maybe it was good or bad. You don't really know. It's beginner's mind. Maybe it's not completely negative, or maybe it's not as bad as the mind claims or claimed. So again, this is perspective, point of view, the bird not being sure whether it should be in the cage or out of the cage. Level 1, things are judged bad or needing improvement. Level 2, things are judged good, possibly needing defense through masks and Enneagram fixation. So that's what's telling you what to do and how to keep the proof of worth. And in level 3, things are not judged. Or if they're judged, those judgments are not assumed to be 100% factual. So you see the purple box, there's less peace with highs and lows in the level 1, but in level 2 and level 3, you have more peace even if life doesn't go your way. For directive and non-directive art classes, we can have you imprint colors on yourself to convey subtle correlations that you have. So one idea could be Level 1 is how the action, inaction, or viewpoint could make things good or bad. Rajas, red, that kind of energetic movement. Tamas, restrictive movement, blue. Or hopelessness in the tamas. So if Rajas is over tamas, in other words, if it's more red than blue, then the focus is how to make things better. And if it's more hopeless, then there's more blue than red. So you can see this as shades of purple. And this wouldn't be very accessible unless the person is a teenager or older. Anyway, at level 2, if you go with this idea, then you have Saatva, which is the state of peace. And this is all from Hinduism, is yellow. So entertain the idea that things are good, but maybe you need defense or adaptation. And so Rajas would be predominant because you're not totally satisfied. Sattva is there. Or tamas is dominant, and it's more defensive or adaptive, but there's some sattva there. Now at level 3, it's pure sattva or sattva over rajas, so more yellowish orange. Or it could be it's hard to explain, but more blue, light green for sattva. It gets complicated. But anyway, the idea is at level 3, you're not rushing to assume things are good or bad, and it means you can see them as they are, often a mixture of good and bad or mystery. So level 1, you're saying things should be the way I want, and that's transactional analysis, all the negative ones: negative free child, negative adaptive child, negative nurturing parent, negative controlling parent. But IPF can help you to not be as attached. And then level 2, you say, this is the way I want, I have what I want. But the more you insist that things have to be the way you want, the more you're in Cartman's drama triangle, the more you're in this rajasic activity or the tamas lethargy or restriction, fight, flight, freeze. And then it's negative free child, looking to rebel and conquer, versus negative adaptive child, conform and obey. But the less you insist that things should be the way you want, the more sattva, the more ideal parent figure, more IPF. At level 3, one registers and detects there was a level 2 or level 1 event, but there's no attachment to that, nor the need to insist you know how things should be. So at level 1, you say, if only X would happen, then I would feel, probably feel happier, right? Feel free, feel safe, whatever. But, or you might be saying, if Y had not happened, I wouldn't feel the way I feel, right? So it's all conditional. And level 2 is still conditional, but it's more positive. Because of what happened, or what's happening, or what's going to happen, I'm happy. And then at level 3, I can appreciate whatever judgments come about what happened, but I'm choosing to be present, I'm choosing to be empty, I'm choosing to be there with it without certitude, beginner's mind. So at level 1, either we can't make it better or believe something must change. At level 1, when you say I can't make it better, it's usually the despair. That could be from the negative controlling parent, negative nurturing parent saying you're doing it again, you've been captured again, you've gone too far, you haven't gone far enough. At level 2, you see that perhaps the unwanted event, the thought, emotion, situation, self-image can be there to help growth happen. At level 3, you witness levels 1 and 2 without rushing to suppress, agree, or disagree. So at level 1, part of you wants to escape, that's the flight. Another one wants to defend or subdue, that's the fight. And the third wants to restrain action, that's the freeze. At level 2, you either like where you are and may fear having to leave, or you don't like it, but you have faith and trust that there must be a good reason. I may not like it, but I'm exactly where I need to be, or maybe I am. At level 3, you witness levels 1 and 2 without rushing to suppress, agree, or disagree. Sad. So cups, everyone tends to think that life is about getting control, understanding pleasure and safety. But anger and anxiety and other emotions invite us to feel compassion for the fear of powerlessness and the powerlessness. If you feel apathy, exhaustion, compassion, and the desire to just not caring, you just want to meet that with compassion and beginner's mind. Feelings are invitations. Once you know how to read them, and a door opens to allowing them to be as they are, even if you wish they were otherwise. So art therapy is often directive. For example, this image to the right was done after a subject was told to associate colors with various things and then fill in the body outline. And there's some evidence it works, but we're not opposed to it, but little convincing evidence for any approach. So we want to start all sessions with non-directive and asking if subject they want to direct a session, what can we assign colors? We're just very slowly going through this, and then the art therapist can share their meanings and help the person to explore others. I'm not going to insist that official schools agree with this, but I want to get into this when we talk to them. The approach is largely non-directive. You should You show the subject your art, and you can show an unhappy day, or how you made peace with your feelings, or you can draw a scene to convey the 3 levels, but you're not going to go too deep or complex. You could show the underground, something like a cave underground is level 1, a hammock in trees or the surface of the water is level 2, and a bird having level 3 as a bird's eye view, seeing all. Under the water is subconscious. So it's not the same as under the ground. And you can show a ladder or someone falling off and hurting themselves, but knowing their love made it a little less painful. So we're conveying message very subtly to people. And so, if you're at this level of training, we're asking you to help posting on Facebook, and I'll send you that link. But this is how we spread the word. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a little more here. After one thought, another response to express, agree or disagree. But what if you aren't the author of the first thought, nor the author of the response? At level 1, you identify as the author, the one who doesn't accept his or her life or something in it. Level 2, you identify as the one who does accept, but perhaps you feel gratitude. At level 3, you don't identify with either of these things, but you're the witness. That's the end. Quickly about masks. Power mask, the body is tense, like a rabbit ready to run, or a lion ready to fight, like the negative free child, or Josic energy. The serenity mask, that is the body feeling hazy, but there's anger underneath it, but you're pretending there's none there. That could be more negative adaptive child, could be somewhat tamasic energy, but there's Rajas very active as well. And then the helpless and devoted mask, the body feels weak like a lost puppy, you're getting loved by appearing helpless and devoted. Now this is confusing because we used yellow for Saatva, so I apologize for the mix-up there. If someone has self-hatred, it's often subconscious but intolerable. It's intolerable, and it's intolerance for anger, fear, desire from the internalized parent who's judgmental, rejecting, and punitive, like the negative controlling parent, negative nurturing parent. It's looking to explain why you, that's in quotes because you are a mystery, but why you or events are wrong, bad, lacking, insufficient, and unworthy. That's why it's doing the blame game. Negative controlling parent, negative nurturing parent, negative adaptive child, negative nurturing parent are all trying to help push a decision around fight, flight, freeze, restraint versus aggression. They tell stories. The masks are activated to remove the fear of internalized critical parent that isn't expected to accept certain emotions, right? We fear the negative controlling parent, the negative nurturing parent, so the negative adaptive child, negative free child, the power masks of helpless and devoted, serenity and power are doing that because they're expecting that internal parent will not accept it. They're not expecting the ideal parent figure which would accept it. Positive controlling parent, positive nurturing parent also to some degree are accepting the emotions, whatever they are. So we're preventing these masks and the Cartman's Drama Triangle and the Enneagram, all that. They're trying to prevent you from being judged for your failures and inabilities. And so the whole game is to find and successfully deploy strategies and outcomes that vindicate the mask. But we don't want to play that game, right? That game is all about a mask that shows that there is a way to act a certain way, to present yourself a certain way in order to get love and safety. It may have worked once in childhood. It may have worked when you saw your father do it with your mother do it with your father, or both. These are very ingrained subconscious patterns. And so if we want to go beyond that game, we need to cultivate the ideal parent figure. Now, with item 3, where you find and successfully deploy strategies that vindicate the mask that you or a loved one tried to use to prove worthy, it's delusional, but it has good intentions. It wants to be loyal to a loved one who identified as that mask, or maybe you identified with that mask, and if it works, then you'll feel better about yourself. So the idea is to do the unexpected and forgive all internal critics, to do the unexpected and forgive all internal critics and internal debate. No rush to suppress, agree, or disagree. Okay, that's the end. Thank you for listening.